Hello everyone, and welcome to my Beyond the Gates official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Beyond the Gates detonates across Fairmont Crest like a carefully timed emotional bomb, opening with a deceptively quiet winter morning that masks the chaos about to erupt behind closed doors, as snow dusts the wrought iron gates and the elite residents prepare for holiday gatherings that will soon unravel into confrontations, confessions, and irreversible consequences. Beginning at the Fairmont Hospital where Anita lies pale and weakened, her cancer treatment officially halted after doctors deliver the grim verdict that her body can no longer endure another round, a revelation that devastates Nicole, who crumbles at her mother's bedside while Vernon stands frozen, guilt-ridden, knowing his past secrets have accelerated the family's collapse, and as Anita musters the strength to whisper a final request, that the truth no longer be hidden, the weight of years of deception settles heavily over the room. Meanwhile, across town, Lynette wakes from a restless sleep haunted by flashes of Peach's tearful confession from the night before, the words, "I am your mother," echoing relentlessly as Lynette stares into the mirror questioning her own identity, her anger colliding with grief as she realizes Haley knew the truth all along and used it as leverage, a realization that fuels Lynette's decision to confront Haley publicly at the Crestwood Christmas Gala later that evening, an event already primed for disaster. At the same time, Tracy sharpens her resolve to expose Vernon and Sharon's secret affair, having obtained undeniable proof in the form of hotel security footage and private messages, and despite Randy's warnings that detonating the scandal now could destroy multiple families, Tracy sees no other path forward, convinced that lies have poisoned the community long enough. Elsewhere, Tomas continues his covert investigation into Lynette's past, discovering a sealed adoption file that links Peaches not only to Lynette, but to an unsolved disappearance from 25 years ago. A connection that suggests Haley's crimes may extend far beyond manipulation and blackmail, and as Tomas prepares to turn the file over to authorities, Leslie intercepts him, revealing she has known about Haley's true identity for years and warning that if the truth comes out, Fairmont Crest will burn to the ground. As evening falls, the gala begins beneath glittering lights and forced smiles, with champagne flowing and carols playing as if the universe itself is mocking the tension simmering beneath the surface, and it isn't long before cracks begin to show. Nicole arrives late, her eyes red from tears, Vernon stiff at her side, while Sharon avoids eye contact with everyone, sensing her secret is moments from exposure, and Haley, dressed in pristine white, moves through the crowd with calculated grace, confident she remains untouchable. The illusion shatters when Lynette takes the stage uninvited, her voice trembling at first before hardening with resolve as she announces she has spent her entire life being lied to, and then, with Peaches stepping forward from the shadows, Lynette reveals their biological connection, stunning the room into silence as gasps ripple through the crowd and Haley's smile finally falters. Before Haley can regain control, Tracy seizes her moment, projecting the incriminating footage onto the massive screen behind the stage, exposing Vernon and Sharon's affair in front of their spouses, children, and the entire Fairmont Crest elite, triggering chaos as Nicole recoils in betrayal. Sharon breaks down sobbing and Vernon collapses into a chair, exposed and broken. The fallout intensifies when Tomas arrives with police officers, announcing that Haley is under investigation for identity fraud, blackmail, and obstruction of justice, prompting Haley to lash out violently, accusing Lynette of destroying everything, only for Peaches to step between them and confess that Haley has been threatening her for years to keep the truth buried, a confession that seals Haley's fate as she is escorted out in handcuffs while screaming that this is not over. The episode closes with devastating quiet moments in the aftermath, Nicole returning to the hospital to sit beside Anita, whispering apologies as Anita squeezes her hand one last time, Lynette standing alone outside the gates, realizing that the truth she fought for has cost her the illusion of peace. Vernon staring at his reflection in a darkened window, knowing redemption may be impossible, and Fairmont Crest itself settling into an uneasy silence, forever changed, as the final shot lingers on the iron gates slowly closing, promising that even though secrets have been exposed, the consequences are only just beginning. As the iron gates close on the shattered gala, the leaked episode pushes deeper into the emotional wreckage left behind, revealing that Fairmont Crest does not sleep after scandal but instead festers, beginning with Haley's frantic interrogation at the precinct, where her composure finally fractures as Tomas methodically dismantles every lie she has built her life upon, presenting evidence that ties her to forged birth records, offshore accounts used to pay blackmail victims, and a mysterious cash withdrawal made the same night a woman connected to Peaches vanished decades earlier, a revelation that causes Haley to scream that Peaches ruined everything. Inadvertently confessing motive as Leslie watches from the hallway, her face drained of color, realizing she has protected a monster. Back at the hospital, Anita's condition worsens rapidly, monitors blaring as doctors rush in while Nicole and Vernon stand helplessly outside the room, Nicole unleashing years of suppressed rage as she finally confronts her father, accusing him of choosing secrets over family, love over loyalty, and silence over truth, a confrontation that ends with Vernon collapsing to the floor in tears, admitting that his affair with Sharon was never about love, but about escape from guilt he could no longer carry. Meanwhile, Sharon, ostracized and humiliated, returns home to find her house vandalized with accusations spray-painted across the walls, forcing her to face the reality that her actions have consequences not just for herself, but for her children, who now refuse to speak to her. Across town, Lynette spirals as the adrenaline of truth fades, haunted by the realization that exposing Haley did not bring peace, but instead reopened every wound she thought had healed, and in a raw, intimate scene, Peaches admits she gave Lynette up not out of abandonment, but because Haley threatened to destroy both of them if she didn't disappear, a confession that binds mother and daughter in shared trauma rather than instant reconciliation. The tension spikes again when Randy uncovers that the gala footage Tracy released was edited, truthful, but incomplete, and that someone deliberately removed a segment that would have implicated another powerful figure in Fairmont Crest, a discovery that suggests Haley may not have acted alone, prompting Tracy to question whether her crusade for truth has unknowingly protected someone even more dangerous. The episode barrels toward its chilling final act as Anita briefly regains consciousness, insisting on seeing Vernon alone, where she delivers a final, devastating confession that she has known about the affair for years and chose silence to keep the family intact, only to realize too late that silence is its own kind of betrayal, and as Vernon begs for forgiveness, Anita closes her eyes, her heart monitor flattening in a long, unbroken tone that echoes through the corridor. Grief detonates instantly. Nicole collapses. Lynette watches from afar as yet another mother figure is lost, and Fairmont Crest collectively feels the weight of a matriarch gone, while the final moments reveal Haley being transferred to a holding cell where she receives a cryptic message on a contraband phone containing just 3 words, "You're not alone," sending a shiver through the narrative as the camera cuts between grieving families, fractured alliances, and the unmistakable sense that, even with Anita gone and Haley exposed, the true mastermind behind Fairmont Crest's darkest secrets has yet to reveal themselves, ending the leaked episode on a haunting freeze frame that promises the war for truth is far from over. As dawn breaks over Fairmont Crest following Anita's death, the community awakens not to peace but to a chilling reckoning, with black luxury cars lining the hospital entrance as news spreads that the family matriarch has passed, triggering whispered conversations about inheritance, power shifts, and the secrets Anita carried to her grave, while Nicole, numb and hollow, refuses to leave her mother's room, clutching the bracelet Anita removed moments before dying, unaware that hidden inside it is a tiny flash drive containing years of financial records and encrypted notes that Anita kept as insurance against Vernon's betrayals, evidence that will soon resurface with devastating consequences. Meanwhile, Vernon retreats to the empty family estate where the silence becomes unbearable, haunted by memories of Anita's quiet strength and the realization that she sacrificed her own dignity to protect him, a truth that pushes Vernon toward a dangerous spiral as he pours himself a drink for the first time in years, signaling the beginning of his collapse. Across town, Lynette and Peaches attempt a fragile truce over breakfast, their conversation painfully awkward, yet laced with hope, until Lynette receives a text message from an unknown number containing a childhood photo she has never seen before, one taken the day Peaches was forced to give her up, proving that someone has been watching their lives unfold from the shadows, someone who knows the truth even better than they do. At the same time, Tracy faces backlash from every corner of Fairmont Crest, branded a hero by some and a traitor by others, as Randy warns her that the edited gala footage has triggered a legal counterattack from an unnamed Crest power broker determined to bury the remaining truth, forcing Tracy to choose between protecting herself or releasing everything she has left. Sharon, now isolated and drowning in shame, makes a desperate attempt to see Nicole, only to be turned away at the gate by security under Vernon's orders, a rejection that finally shatters Sharon's denial and leads her to make a shocking decision: to cooperate fully with Tomas in exchange for immunity, a move that threatens to implicate multiple families and ignite a legal firestorm. Meanwhile, Leslie's role grows darker as she secretly meets with Haley's mystery contact, revealing she has been quietly cleaning up messes for Fairmont Crest's elite for decades, manipulating records, silencing witnesses, and ensuring the powerful remain untouchable, a confession that reframes every past scandal as part of a much larger conspiracy. The tension peaks when Anita's will is read privately, unveiling a bombshell clause that transfers temporary control of key family assets not to Vernon or Nicole, but to a blind trust managed by an unnamed beneficiary, setting off panic among Crest insiders who suddenly realize Anita planned this reckoning long before her death. The episode's final moments intercut between Haley sitting alone in her cell, smiling faintly as she hears guards whisper about high-level interference in her case, Lynette standing at the gates staring outward instead of in for the first time in her life, Vernon staring at Anita's empty chair at the dining table as tears finally fall, and Tomas pinning a board filled with photos, names, and red string in his office, pulling back to reveal that nearly every powerful family in Fairmont Crest is connected, ending the episode on the unmistakable promise that Anita's death was not an ending, but the trigger for a war that will consume everyone beyond the gates. As the shockwaves of Anita's death continue to ripple outward, the leaked episode plunges Fairmont Crest into a cold, calculated scramble for survival, with lawyers, financiers, and longtime allies quietly repositioning themselves behind the scenes, beginning with the revelation that Anita's blind trust has already frozen several major accounts tied to Vernon's business empire, triggering panic as investors demand answers, and rumors swirl that Anita suspected money laundering long before her illness, while Nicole, still reeling from grief, begins to piece together her mother's final intentions after discovering faint markings on the inside of the bracelet Anita left behind, markings that match symbols found in old family ledgers, confirming Anita orchestrated a slow, deliberate exposure designed to protect Nicole while dismantling Vernon's power. Meanwhile, Tomas receives Sharon's full confession, and her testimony explodes the scope of the investigation as she reveals secret meetings, coded phone calls, and a hidden network of fixers led by a woman only known as M. A figure Leslie clearly recognizes but refuses to name, her silence more damning than any confession. Across town, Lynette's fragile attempt at healing shatters when Peaches vanishes without explanation, leaving behind only a note that reads, "I won't let them use me again," sending Lynette into a desperate search that uncovers surveillance footage showing Peaches being followed by an unmarked black sedan, reigniting fears that the same forces who buried the truth decades ago are moving to silence her once more. Tracy, under mounting legal pressure, makes the bold decision to leak the unedited gala footage anonymously, a move that exposes a powerful Crest benefactor bribing security to manipulate evidence, instantly turning Tracy into a target as her phone rings endlessly with threats, warnings, and one chilling voicemail promising she will end up like Anita if she doesn't disappear. Vernon, spiraling deeper, attempts to reclaim control by confronting Leslie, only to learn she has already shifted allegiance, revealing that Anita paid her for years not to protect Vernon, but to monitor him. revelation that destroys Vernon's final illusion of loyalty and leaves him isolated as federal agents arrive at his doorstep with subpoenas. The tension crescendos when Nicole finally opens the encrypted files from the flash drive, uncovering a detailed timeline that suggests Anita's cancer diagnosis may have been delayed due to falsified medical reports authorized by a Crest-connected board member. A possibility that reframes Anita's death from tragedy to potential murder, and as Nicole lifts her eyes in horror, the episode's closing moments intercut between Peaches trapped in a dimly lit room whispering Lynette's name, Haley receiving a sealed envelope at her cell bearing the same symbol from Anita's bracelet, Tomas staring at a medical file stamped, altered, and the iron gates of Fairmont Crest creaking open on their own for the first time, ending the leaked episode on a chilling note that suggests the real danger was never the secrets themselves, but the people willing to kill to keep them buried. As the iron gates stand ominously ajar, Fairmont Crest slips into a state of quiet terror, the kind that settles in when everyone realizes the danger is no longer theoretical, beginning with Nicole secretly meeting Tomas in the early morning hours, her grief hardening into resolve as she hands over Anita's encrypted files and demands the full truth no matter who it destroys. A demand Tomas hesitates to accept until he uncovers a hidden medical authorization bearing Vernon's signature that rerouted Anita's oncology care to a Crest-affiliated facility notorious for administrative delays, confirming Nicole's worst fear that her mother's suffering may have been prolonged or accelerated by deliberate interference. Meanwhile, Vernon, sensing the walls closing in, makes a desperate attempt to flee Fairmont Crest, only to be stopped at the private airstrip when federal agents seize his passport. A public humiliation that strips him of the power he once wielded effortlessly and sends a chilling message to the Crest elite that no one is untouchable anymore. Across town, Lynette's search for Peaches becomes frantic as she follows fragmented clues through abandoned storage units and shuttered properties once owned by shell companies tied to the blind trust. Realizing Anita may have known Peaches was in danger and quietly positioned assets to protect her, a realization that fuels Lynette's determination to finish what Anita started. Tracy, now in hiding, receives unexpected help from Randy, who reveals he has been gathering evidence of Crest-wide corruption for years under Bill's orders before his death, exposing Bill not as a villain but as a man trying and failing to dismantle the system from within, a revelation that recontextualizes his funeral, the strange behavior, and the unanswered questions surrounding his demise. Sharon's cooperation intensifies the investigation as she identifies M. not as a single person but a rotating identity passed between three powerful women who ensured secrets stayed buried through blackmail, medical manipulation, and strategic disappearances, a system Leslie helped maintain until guilt finally cracked her loyalty. The tension spikes when Haley, now fully aware she was never the mastermind but merely a pawn, attempts to bargain with Tomas by offering the location where Peaches is being held, only to be silenced mid-interrogation when a guard receives orders to remove her from the room. Proving the conspiracy has already infiltrated law enforcement, the episode's final act crescendos as Lynette and Nicole independently converge on the same off-grid property just outside Fairmont Crest, guided by Anita's cryptic notes, where they find Peaches alive but drugged, guarded by men who flee at the first sign of exposure, leaving behind files that link Anita's cancer delays, Bill's death, and decades of sealed scandals into one horrifying pattern. The closing moments are devastating and electric. Nicole kneeling beside Peaches, realizing her mother died trying to save this woman. Lynette holding Peaches as she finally wakes and whispers, "Anita, promise me you'd come." Vernon being led away in handcuffs as reporters swarm. Haley staring at the gates from her cell knowing she will never walk through them again, and Tomas pinning Anita's photo at the center of his board, finally understanding that she was never a victim of Fairmont Crest, but its most dangerous architect. Ending the leaked episode with a haunting truth that echoes through the silence beyond the gates. The reckoning has begun, and no one is prepared for what comes next. In the aftermath of Peach's rescue, Fairmont Crest descends into a dangerous limbo where relief is fleeting and paranoia reigns supreme, as Nicole insists Peaches be placed under guarded medical care. Fearing the conspiracy's reach extends even into the hospital walls, while Lynette refuses to leave her mother's side, grappling with the devastating irony that Anita spent her final strength protecting a woman Lynette barely had. Time to know, a truth that binds them in silent understanding rather than words. Meanwhile,